Hey, good evening to you. Welcome back, guys. It's good to see you. Listen, I hope everybody had an absolutely wonderful weekend. And the person hoping that you had a wonderful weekend is me. And that person is Bill Sylvie, aka the Dungeon Delver. Welcome back to the show, guys. It's good to see you, and it's good to be seen by you. And I hope you're having an absolutely fantastic time today for being Monday. Yeah, I hope everything's going okay. If this is your first time stopping by and you don't know what we do, I think I'm pretty much the only 5-night-a-week YouTube live streamer who brings you classic Dungeons and Dragons, first edition and original, a little occasional basic, and other popular popular when they were happening, and they're still happening, old school RPGs. You know, it's not always about Dungeons and Dragons right here, just mostly about Dungeons and Dragons. Happy birthday, Jack Photon. Happy birthday to you, my friend. A day late. But anyway, that's what we do. And if you're unfamiliar with our modus operandi, that's Latin for our operating mode, or our operating ice cream. That would be a la modus operandi. Please consider clicking the subscribe button and the bell icon for notifications. You can support us on Patreon. You can support us on Subscribestar. You can super chat. You can dance if you want to. But you know what? I've got a big heart. I say, don't leave your friends behind. If they don't dance, teach them to. If they refuse to, then yes, they're no friends of mine. But please, do try to teach them. But anyway, so welcome to the show. Now, this live stream we actually have a sponsor, and it's linked in the description down below. This live stream is brought to you by our friends at Hellabard Games, and I do mean friends in the actual definition of that. Hellabard makes the kind of adventures that they'd like to play, whether it's for 5th edition D&D, Castles and Crusades, or the OSR at large. Old school is in play at the table when you play Hellabard Games. And guess what? They are having a sale right now on their website. All of their in-print 5e modules, that's 10 modules of adventure. Everything from a mysterious swamp full of lizard men to a caravan trail with mysterious adventuring sites scattered across it. Use the checkout code 5EOOP at their website, hellabardgames.com, to receive 50% off. And guys, these are old school. The old school is baked in, not the 5e rules. You pick these modules up, you do a little bit of converting, guess what? You got the Hellabard module library in print, ready to rock for your AD&D, your Castles and Crusades, your OD&D, whatever you converted it to. So I recommend that that you go and do that. Hey, there's my co-host hanging out in the audience. I see you, Kyle. It's good to see you. Thank you, Jack71. I appreciate that. I love that you love it, my friend. And no, it's not 4th. The modules would be that thick, and you'd have to do a lot of work. Did the basic D&D rulebook come with 3 holes in it? Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Which was really convenient for me when I was a kid. I loved just clipping it into a 3-ring binder with all of my other stuff. So anyway, we have a couple of things to discuss tonight. First of all, let's just go ahead and talk about the week coming up, what we've got coming up this week. We are right on top of the great underground online gaming convention, the GWOC. So I'm going to be talking a lot more about that in the week. But I am going to also be registering my games. I'm not going to be DMing that much during the GWOC. Probably something Saturday night, maybe something board gamey for any Johnny come latelys on Sunday, but we'll have to see. So, you know, I hope you saved some time to game, but because I didn't want to step up, I didn't want this to be like Bill's big gaming thing. I want people who are going to be running games, I wanted them to soak up, like they are the biscuits to the gravy of the gaming community at large, and I wanted them to soak it up before I just threw in my giant biscuit and soaked it all up for myself. Not that I'm breaking my arm, patting myself on the back with how popular I think I am, but that's just, you know, I'm the show host. I get it, right? You know, it's kind of my thing. Like, you go to Gary Con, not that I'm comparing myself to Luke Gygax, mind you, but everybody wants to get in a game with Luke Gygax, right? Less concerned about me if I show up and run my own game. So I'm trying not to do that. But anyway, Thursday, Zach Glazar of Frog God Games will be here. And in addition to having a name that makes him sound like a bad guy from a season, well, actually a good guy, like one of the Power Rangers from a season of Power Rangers, Zach Glazar. He's the honcho over at Frog God. He's going to be here, and he's going to bring some Frog God folks with him, and they're going to talk about all things Frog God, because Frog God is one of the sponsors of this year's GWOC. They have got free stuff for you guys. Tabasco sauce over the entire thing, right, GM Jacko? Right? Texas Crystal is fine too. Texas Crystal is fine too. Some hash browns, you know. But anyway, so that's happening on Thursday. Now, my co-host is sitting out in the audience, so I put it to you, Kyle, will you be here on Wednesday? I understand you're busy. I understand. It is the 22nd to the 25th. So you do the math. It's coming. It's happening. I'm excited about it. Are you excited about it? You should be. I've been talking about this since, good Lord, last year. And the question may come, are you going to do a GWOC 3? I don't know. We'll see. I'm not sure. Clark Whitten, good to see you, my friend. But we have tonight, we have a mail call. We have mail call tonight. Now, a little bit of a spoiler alert. I don't know if this is a spoiler alert. I don't know if this is a peek behind. I expect to be here to talk games and turn 52 years old. Is it Viking Hat's birthday? Is it your birthday? Oh, we're going to have fun. Now, I'm excited about that. I am excited about that. I am excited about that. So, here's what I want you guys to do. If you come to the birthday live stream for Viking Hat, my co-host, my homeboy, and you want to throw Viking Hat super chat and say, this is for Viking Hat for his birthday, and I'll make sure he gets it. Are there 52 cards in the deck of many things? Let's see. Let's just open the Dungeon Master's Guide and let's have a look-see right now. The Domped, as I love to call it. I actually have an unpunched Domped that came with Dragon Magazine. I picked it up for a song and it intended to flip it, but I never could find a buyer. So I may have to see. The Domped. The Domped is 13 or 22 plaques. So yes, I have an actual deck of many things. Yeah. The 75% of them you find will be 13. 25% will be the 22. And what you get in the Domped, there is one last book for Guac price. Oh, yes, Jack, yes. I had not dove into those yet, but I intend to. I mean, I know what they are. I've opened it and I've looked through them. I've just been going bonkers lately, so I'm gonna look into those. But thank you for the heads up, Jack. I would have hated to have given away something you had not intended to be a giveaway gift. But anyway, so let us behold the deck of many things, because it's neat, and we'll talk about. We'll get to our mail call. Don't worry, it's sitting right here. And we'll look at that in just a second. But I want to do this now. Me? Stressed? When have you guys ever seen me stressed? I don't stress. All right. Share screen. Share screen. Entire screen. Share screen. Share screen. They've added 2 extra mouse clicks. It's now 9 mouse clicks to get a screen share to you guys. Okay, so the Domped, the deck of many things. If you don't know what this is, guys, this is a phenomenal, fun magic item. So let's read up about this. It's really one of Gary's most inspired creations. And we have had one show up. I remember when Lord Corion flippantly drew 3 cards. I miss having him in the game. The Domped, a deck of many things, beneficial and baneful, usually is found contained within a box or leather pouch. Each deck contains a number of thin plaques or plates. These sheets are usually of ivory or vellum. Each is engraved and or inscribed with glyphs, characters, and magical sigils. As soon as one of these sheets is drawn forth from the pack, its magic is bestowed upon the person who drew it, for better or worse. The character gaining a deck of many things may announce that only one will be drawn from the pack, or he or she may opt to draw forth 2, 3, or even 4, but the number must be announced prior to the first plaque withdrawn. Note that if the jester is drawn, the possessor of the deck may elect to draw 2 additional cards. Each time a plaque is taken from the deck, it is replaced, unless the draw is a jester or fool, in which case the plaque is discarded from the pack. The deck will contain either 13 or 22 plaques, 75%, 25% chance. Additional plaques in a 22-card deck are indicated by an asterisk before their name. To simulate the plaques, you may use the normal playing card indicated. Oh, Todd, that's not a polite thing to call someone just because they drew a bunch of cards from the deck. Sun, King of Diamonds. You gain beneficial miscellaneous magic item and 50,000 experience points. Moon, Queen of Diamonds. You are granted 1 to 4 wishes. Star, Jack of Diamonds. Immediately gain 2 points on your major ability. Comet, 2 of Diamonds. Defeat the next monster you meet to gain 1 level. This sounds so much like, and I know this came well before it, but this sounds so much like things you'd hear the little voice synthesis in the great Gauntlet video game say. Draw 2 to gain level. Defeat next monster for gold. You know, that kind of thing. Let's see. Throne, King of Hearts. Gain charisma of 18 and a small keep. Key, Queen of Hearts. Gain a treasure map plus 1 magic weapon. Knight, Jack of Hearts. Gain the service of a 4th level fighter. Gem, 2 of Hearts. Gain your choice of 20 jewelry or 50 gems. The Void, King of Clubs. Body functions, but soul is trapped elsewhere. Flames, Queen of Clubs. Enmity between you and a devil. Skull, Jack of Clubs. Defeat death or be forever destroyed. Talons, 2 of Clubs. All magic items you possess are torn from you. Ruin, King of Spades. Immediately lose all wealth and real property. Urael. How do you pronounce that? Urael. -3 on all saving throws versus petrifaction. Rogue, Jack of Spades. One of your henchmen turns against you. Balance, 2 of Spades. Change alignment or be judged. I love these cards. I love the deck of many things. Jester, the Joker. Gain 10,000 experience points or 2 more draws from the deck. Fool, Joker with a trademark. Lose 10,000 experience points and draw again. That's right. Corion pulled the skull. Vizier, Ace of Diamonds. Know the answer to your next dilemma. Idiot, Ace of Diamonds. I think that's a typo. Lose 1 to 4 points of intelligence. You may draw again. Fates, Ace of Hearts. I think it's supposed to be Ace of Spades for idiot. Fates, Ace of Hearts. Avoid any situation you choose once. Dungeon, Ace of Spades. Oh, that's it. Okay. So Ace of Diamond. Oh, Ace of Clubs. Ace of Clubs. Dungeon, Ace of Spades. You are imprisoned. Exactly, Lux. That's what this sounds like. Upon drawing the last plaque possible, or immediately upon drawing the plaques in boldface, the Void Dungeon, the deck disappears. The plaques are explained below. Sun, roll on the miscellaneous magic table until a useful magic item other than artifacts or relics is indicated. The player gets experience points for this item as well. Moon. This is best represented by a moonstone gem with the appropriate number of wishes shown as gleams therein. These wishes are the same as the 9th level magic user spell and must be used in a number of turns equal to the number received. Keep that in mind, Dungeon Masters. Star. If the 2 points would place the character's character score at 19, use 1 or both in any of the other abilities in this order. Constitution, Charisma, Wisdom, Dexterity, Intelligence, Strength. So nobody, the fighter who already has an 18, I want those 2 in Strength. Well, they will go to Constitution and Charisma instead. Comet. The player must single-handedly defeat the next monster, singular or plural, of hostile nature, or the benefit is lost. If successful, the character moves to the midpoint of the next experience level. Throne. If charisma is 18 already, the individual still gains plus 25% on encounter and loyalty reactions. He or she becomes a real leader in people's eyes. The castle gain will be near to any stronghold already possessed. Key. Roll a treasure map with 20% on the dice. The weapon with it must be one usable by the character, so use the table for swords, miscellaneous weapons, or rods et al. As needed. Knight. The hero will join the character's henchman and loyally serve until death. He has +1 per die, 18 maximum on each ability roll. Gem. This indicates wealth. The jewelry will all be gold set with gem. The gems all of 1,000 GP base value. Wow. With this wealth should come experience points equal in value, but never more than sufficient for 1 level rise in experience. The Void. This lightless black plaque spells instant disaster. The character's body functions and he or she speaks like an automaton, but the psyche is trapped in a prison somewhere, in an object on a far planet or plane, possibly in the possession of a demon. A wish will not bring back the character, but the plane of entrapment might be revealed. I ran this on a player and we never got to do anything with it because he rolled up another character, but I deemed that his brain, his soul, if you will, was placed inside the memory banks of a computer on the Starship Warden. And I'm going to keep that. If I ever play Met Alpha or have a party go to the Warden in AD&D, they may find Kamal the Cleric's mind trapped in the memory banks of a computer. Flames, hot anger, jealousy, envy are but a few of the possible motivational forces for the enmity. The devil is usually of the greater sort, possibly even an archdevil. The enmity can never be satisfied, save one or the other is slain. Skull. A minor death appears, armor class -4, 33 hit points, strikes with a scythe for 2 to 16 hit points, never missing, always striking first in a round, and the character must fight it alone. If others help, they get minor deaths to fight as well. If a character is slain, he or she is slain forever. Treat the death as undead with respect to spells. Cold or fire do not harm it, neither does electrical energy. Talons. When this plaque is drawn, each and every magic item owned or possessed by the character drawing is irrevocably gone. This happens instantly. Ruin. I smote his ruin upon the mountainside. As implied, this plaque is drawn with every bit of when this plaque is drawn, every bit of money, including all gems, jewelry, and like previous and valuable treasure and art, and all real property or buildings thereon currently owned are lost forever. Uriel, this Medusa-like visage of the plaque brings a curse which only the Fates card or god-like beings can remove. The -3 is permanent otherwise. Rogue. When this plaque is drawn, one of the character's henchmen will be totally alienated and forever hostile henceforward. If the character has no henchmen, the enmity of some powerful personage, community, or religious can be substituted. The hatred will be secret until the time is ripe for devastating effect. Read this and tell me you don't love Gary Gygax, and I will laugh you out of the game store. Balance, as in weighted in the balance and found wanting. The character must change and perform accordingly to a radically different alignment, i.e. lawful, chaotic, good, evil, neutral, non-neutral. Failure brings judgment, and if there is substantial deviation from professed alignment, the character will be destroyed permanently. Hello, Sean Raider. We got a thing called Raider Sean. What? I thought it was funny. Jester, this plaque actually makes either pack more beneficial if the experience point award is taken. It is always discarded when drawn, unlike all others except the Fool. Fool, payment and draw are mandatory. Vizier. This plaque empowers the character drawing it with the ability to call upon supernatural wisdom to solve any single problem or answer fully any question whenever he or she so requests. Whether the information gained can be successfully acted upon is another question entirely. idiot. As indicated, the mongoloid countenance causes a loss of 1 to 4 D4 hit points of intelligence immediately. They are lost and cannot be regained, although points can be restored by other means. The additional draw is optional. Fates. The plaque enables a character to avoid an instantaneous occurrence if so desired, for the fabric of reality is unraveled and respun, so to speak. Note that it does not allow something to happen, only to not take place. The reversal is for the individual character only, and the party must still endure the confrontation. Dungeon. This signifies imprisonment, either by spell or some creature/being at your option. All gear and spells will be stripped from the victim in any case. So that's the deck of many things. Unfortunately, we don't have a real one to roll out for Kyle on his birthday, but hey, we do what we can, right? Right. So we have a little bit of a mail call. We have a mail call. That's right. One of our fans, he pops up in the chat from time to time, and he follows us on the Discord. Is Old Redneck? That's right. Old Redneck's likes to send the show fun stuff. He donated that copy of Dark Tower, which we did a deep dive through, and we're probably going to do something of a deep dive if I can get good PDFs of what he sent. Now, I have opened these, but I just wanted to show you guys. For those of you who are like, "What, the post office is awesome." This thing is stamped fragile, and it's also just stamped. I'm just glad it was books and not miniatures. So what we have are things, I have seen these before. I had seen these before, but I never actually own them. They're drop shipped or just dropped from Noble Knight to us, again, courtesy of Old Redneck. And these are Mayfair Advanced Dungeons and Dragons products, third-party products from Mayfair. And we're gonna take a quick skim over these. We're not gonna deep dive them tonight. But we're gonna take a quick skim over these, and we're gonna start with this one because Old Redneck was really keen for me to read about some particularly horrible stuff in here. Before I open these, Mayfair tread a fine line back in the day and essentially dared TSR to do something to them for releasing third-party AD&D books. These are kind of, do you remember the Ed Greenwood articles, The Ecology of? These are like the ecology of, these are books statted for AD&D. They're not for Greyhawk. They don't reference any Greyhawk stuff, but they are statted for AD&D, and these are by a company called Mayfair. And these are out of print, as far as I'm aware. The PDF sales may exist for them. I'll have to go and look. But TSR had an agreement with Mayfair to allow them to publish these. And then at some point, TSR sued them and lost. And so Mayfair continued to publish these well into the late 90s, I should point out. I think it was less publish them and more sell their stock of them. But just the same, these are three of them, and they covered various D&D topics. They had demons and devils. They had just different ones, and these three are three of them. And now I'm not familiar with some of the authors of these books. They have they have art by people I'm not entirely familiar with. But we're going to take a look at these. Now this one, this particular Roll Aids book has an article written by Robert Lynn Aspirin, with whom I am greatly familiar because when I was a kid in high school, I loved, well, middle school really, I loved the Myth Inc. books. They're very breezy, lightweight fantasy, good Bildungsroman, fun stuff. So Mr. Aspirin, the late Mr. Aspirin, wrote an article for Dark Folk. So what we have is a book on dwarves. You know what? Here, let's flip the camera on. Let's flip the camera on over to the right, and I can show these to you guys properly. Yeah? All right, let's do that. And okay, so we have, and you know what? I'll take them out of the bags so you can see them a little bit better. They're poly bagged by the good folk at Noble Knight. Maybe even handled these at GaryCon, these self-same books. So we have Dwarves. And this is by Paul Karzag. A Kingdom and Adventure by Paul Karzag. So, you know, it basically, in classic AD&D style, covers a great many of those. Why did that go away? Come back. There we go. That is the first one. A lovely full color cover. They are black and white interiors. We will put that one over here. Elves, which old Redneck was really keen for me to check out the elves. Now, I did read this one. I know I just took them out of the box, but I have read these. Or I have read this one. I have read through this one. And this does cover them all. There are drow elves in here, but of course they can't call them drow elves, and they can't reference Airly Sinlu and that sort of thing. But there are some screwed up drow in this one. And this one covers high elves, dark elves, wood elves, ice elves, demi elves, gray elves, plus elven cities and towns. And we'll deep dive these as I can find PDFs to share with you guys. Take a look at the back. There's just some text on the back. Do you guys like Cam 2 over here? Do you guys like that? Yeah, I've got a few cameras. Jack Photon donated a second 1080p camera, which is actually over there. But I do have a couple of 1080p cameras and a 720p camera that Connect donated to the show as well. So that's Dark Folk, or that's Elves, and this is Dark Folk. Which covers, that's orcs, goblins, kobolds, gnolls, and trolls. It says it includes. Isn't the second one for my cat? No, the second one's not for my cat. So let's see here. Supervising editor Bill Fawcett, editor Paul Karzag, of course, did Dwarves. P. Bromley. So it is trolls, orcs, gnolls, kobolds, and goblins out through here. Now, I am definitely of the mindset, having leafed through these a little bit, let me tell you, I am definitely of the mindset, that the way you should approach those books, particularly if you're running an already established campaign, is to carefully pick through them to select things to spice up the culture. If you haven't started your campaign and you find that the world that any one of these books presents to you is appealing, and they do, some of them present full campaign worlds. They talk about realms. They talk about islands and mountains and lots of other stuff. They will kind of build you a campaign world. They're very convenient in that. But if you're already rolling with Greyhawk or Forgotten Realms or Dragonlance or something like that, you might look at this and say, those are neat concepts. I don't know that I want to just drink from the fire hose there. And that's okay. That's absolutely okay. I think there's enough good stuff in those books that you've got a lot to pick and choose from. And if you bought these, if you bought all of these, you'd have like not just these three, but the whole line of roll aids. You would have like a stack. You'd have like a 2-inch thick stack, and its use, of course, that comes down, to the utility that you find in them. We're going to look at some of them. I particularly want to take a look at some of the elves. I don't know that I want to do a deep dive of every single page of every book, but I would like to look at their approach to dark elves. They've got some seriously screwed up stuff in the dark elves, and I mean that in the best possible way. So thank you very much, Old Redneck, for your donation to the show. Thank you for getting these to us. And we're gonna deep dive on these. We're gonna look at the history of the Rolaids products, and I think that'll in the overall. If we don't deep dive every single book, I think it's gonna be a really fun. A really fun look, and we'll look at some certain things. Like I absolutely want to do the Dark Elf chapter of the Elves book. The Drow are so underdeveloped, I think. Like if we had just gotten like a map of Airly Sinlu, that would have been awesome. I kind of feel like they're almost a little overdeveloped in this book, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Clark says, I moved up from my corner you saw when you started watching my... Well, I mean, it was just over there. It literally, rotate this view, 30 degrees and you've got where I used to be. This was very different. What was on this wall was a giant Lord of the Rings store display that my sister had gotten me from when she worked at Best Buy. That's 5 feet on a side, 6 feet on a side. I don't remember how big it is. I sat close to that door. You could better see Tracy's painting. I'm trying to think what else may have been over here, and I can't remember now what else, how things were laid out. This bookshelf here was against that far wall. You guys could obviously not see the Shelf of Shame, and next to the what was then the Shelf of Shame was a bookshelf that had all my RPG material on it. None of those were in the camera, unless I occasionally would pan the camera around and show them to you. So this was quite the change. This was almost exactly a year ago. I basically stopped the show for, it felt like a week, and redid my office. I put up shelving. I took down shelving. I lost the Lord of the Rings mural. I mean, I didn't lose it. It's in its 4 pieces right over here. But, I had to take it down. I may put it back up on that wall, but you guys still won't be able to see it. But yeah, things have changed quite a bit. I started out just sitting kind of to the side of my PC over there. Then I built sort of a kind of a streaming piece. Well, no, I didn't even do that initially, or maybe I did. I don't remember. Yeah, I did. I built it was an i7 2600K, which I still have the motherboard and the CPU kicking around here somewhere. But I had that set up, and that was my streaming PC. And then just as time's gone on, things have changed around a lot. And yeah, but it used to be like this light. No, I had a lamp. I mean, technically those are lamps too, right? But no, I had just like this standing floor lamp that I would point at me to illuminate me, and I look terrible. Not that I look great now. But things have just evolved over time. Yeah, so I went from sitting like over there facing the camera over here, and then I tried sitting over here and facing the camera over there, and just streaming to Facebook, and then I moved over to the corner over here, and then I just did the huge rearrange because I couldn't stand it anymore because I had stuff sitting on the floor. I still have stuff sitting on the floor. If somebody just called me up tomorrow and says, I know exactly what you have, here's $1,000, I'll come pick it up, I'd be like, take it. Because I hate stuff sitting on the floor. To that end, I have actually some really cool, I received some really cool news. You guys might see like sound engineer in the credits, Boganora. That's Imperial Ramblings. He is, it's not going to happen tomorrow, the next day, or the day after, but he is actually sending me a new streaming deck. And it is an HP like ultra small form factor PC, but it's got a monster Xeon processor, and you can put like 128 gigs of RAM in them, and it's like all of its IO is USB 3, but it's smaller than like a PlayStation 3 Slim. And it will basically replace the monster tower that I've been using. So that'll be down the road, maybe, fall or something. I don't know when, right? I'm not like, give it to me now. You don't do that when people offer you things, but it's just another great donation to the show that's coming. I'm just going to have to buy a huge USB 3.1 hub to run all my gadgets, my microphone, my camera, my lights, my mouse, my keyboard. But it'll all come together, guys. It'll all come together. And of course, I appreciate everyone's donation. Look, whether you super chat, whether you're on Patreon or Subscribe Star, whether you do the buy me a coffee thing, when you do the buy me a coffee thing, whether you donate hardware or software or gaming products, or just sit there and feed the algorithm by watching the show and promoting the show and telling people, this guy may be legitimately insane, because all he does is talk about classic D&D. Like, you could just go down to the bookstore and buy it. I appreciate it. I appreciate every one of you and everything that you guys do for the show by getting the good word out there. I know I haven't been doing a lot of hot news videos because it really there hasn't been a lot to talk about. I've got something in the works. It's just a short video. I've just been lazy and not getting back to it. I may do YouTube shorts, just to kind of feed the algorithm a little bit. But I've got a video coming about Tunnels and Trolls. Not a deep dive. Calm down if you're a Tunnels and Trolls fan and you're like, oh, he said the thing. It's not. Settle. We'll come to it when we come to it. But anyway, I do. There is one thing that I kind of, just to sort of wrap up the day. I know I've done 3-4 hour streams lately and so on. Thank you, Ben. I really appreciate that. But one thing, just because this is, I think this is funny. I have said before that old school D&D Twitter is a fun place to be. If you look, and I'll share the screenshots with you guys, not right this minute, but like I'll put it up. Oh, no. Park that for a second. Slam on the brakes. Pull over. I'm not drunk, Jack. Not yet. Anyway, I almost forgot to mention. I'm going to talk about Twitter in a minute, but I almost forgot to mention. A winner has been chosen. The Grenadier Red Dragon set is going to be painted by the guys over at Paint Minis Live, and I am really looking forward to it. Come on. So this set will be painted by them. I will box up all the pieces and send them to them. And I am super duper excited about that. They are going to paint up the Grenadier Red Dragon. That one, thank you everyone who participated. If your set didn't get picked, I am sorry. I know some of you, 150, some of you voted, and that means a significant number of people, for example, wanted to see the old school Deathwing Terminators painted. Some of you guys, I would say second was the Hirelings. Like Red Dragon was first, Hirelings were second, Wizard's Room third, and coming in a strong fourth were the Deathwing Terminators. So I wanted to mention that before I forgot. Don't go vote. It won't matter. Super Tuesday has passed. Don't send me your ballots. But anyway, and don't send them to Arizona either. Anyway, to get back to what I was saying, old school D&D Twitter is a fun place to be. But I think there's something endemic in Twitter that makes people mad, because people on old school D&D Twitter have had an argument going around and around and around and around and around about descending versus ascending. I did that backwards. Ascending versus descending armor class and 2-hit armor class 0. The formula used in basic and later 2E Dungeons and Dragons. Now, don't tell me it's used in first edition AD&D, because it's not. There is an index point in the alphabetical recapitulation of monsters, Appendix E in the Dungeon Master's Guide, that will note the 2-hit armor class 0. Just to give the DM a good point. But it doesn't take into account repeating 20s. And repeating 20s are a thing in first edition AD&D. So the argument kind of goes back and forth, and like, I don't follow a lot of people on Twitter, and I'll occasionally see it pop up. And I have a funny story about 2D versus 3D space, Kyle, that I think you'll find hilarious, and others might find hilarious. Anyway, but again, it passeth beyond me, because I have charts. I have easy, simple to read charts. If you needed a 16 last round, you need a 16 this round. And I can just glance over at the chart to see what's what. I don't have to do math, whether it's going up or down. I don't have to do formulas. I have a chart. I have a lookup table. No math is required. Well, does it make any sense that armor class goes up and not down? It doesn't make any sense that armor class goes down and not up. It doesn't matter. I look at a chart. That's it. I look at a chart. The charts are all there. The charts are good. Use the charts. Don't worry about doing math in your head. Well, if you add the armor class and then flip the armor class and then subtract the armor class, and then you've got the armor class for old school, and it's that. And I'm like, I have these charts, and I posted them. 4 little tables that cover all the classes in AD&D, and 1 medium-sized table that covers all the monster hit dice in AD&D. It's a simple lookup table. Glance over. I know what the number is. Tell me what you rolled. And I look at the chart. A 15, it hits. A 14, it doesn't. And you as a player can play Battleship. Okay, an 11 hit, but a 10 didn't. So we need at least an 11, you know? You can do it. You can figure it out. And I posted that. I was like, oh, did that make people mad? And I say mad, you know, it's not like hashtag cancel Bill Sylvie. It's a little forward of you connect, but anyway, so yeah, I posted it up there, and I just like, hey, what happens if I hit this hornet's nest? Whack, whack, whack. And then walk away from it. So that's I just thought that was funny. So I'm gonna talk to this is specifically for those of you who may have played it. Renegade Legion was going to be FOSS's next pick. That FOSSA was swimming in dough after the smash success of BattleTech. So you got a lot of board games out of FOSSA. I mean, and if you think like Renegade Legion, you're like, oh, that thing was a bomb. It wasn't. It wasn't. Renegade Legion spawned spawned 4 other games: a role-playing game, a tank game, a strategic game, and then like a Starfleet Battles like game. So that's 4 separate games. 2 separate computer games. A hex battle thing where you fought with the ships, and then a wing commander like flight simulator. And 3 or 4 novels, a crap load of minis that are still made by the CNC Mini Company, by the way. So it was pretty popular. I mean, nowadays a company couldn't do that based on the sales of 1 game. They wouldn't put the investment in. But I mean, back in the game, companies were a different beast back in the 90s. So In Renegade Legion, Kyle, it's a space fighting flight game. As you might assume, there's a hex grid. There's a flat hex grid. But the game did try to represent on the tabletop 3-dimensional space. You could have multiple ships in a single hex. Now, in a turn of artistic flair, rather than have flat counters for the ships, Thassa had little matchbox-sized cardboard boxes. They had the side of the ship on the short, long side, the front and the rear on the short ends, the top on one side and the bottom on the other. They looked pretty spiffy. Now, you could end a combat round. I don't know what they call them, rounds, turns, whatever. You could end a combat round with a bunch of ships in the same hex, which means you would have to meticulously stack the boxes one on top of another. In the rules for Renegade Legion, it says, if anyone knocks the stack over, all ships in the stack immediately take random meteor damage to their hulls. And I think something bad happened to the player who knocked the stack over. Like their ship took more damage or something like that. But I loved that rule. I always thought that was the funniest, the coolest thing. So to your 2D space versus 3D space comment, Kyle, there you go. Now, a buddy of mine played Starfleet Battles, and he would play it at tournaments. And they did something similar in SFB, but they had these little magnetic, like rubber magnets, like fridge magnet stuff, that you would slide the SFB counters into, and you could magnetically stack ships one on top of another in a hex. Now, when the giant stompy robot genre was a big thing and it rode tall in the saddle, one of the oddest giant robot shooting games was called Mecha. And the default campaign world of Mecha, because it was like, oh, if you want to, do you want to, do you want to run a Macross game? Well, here's a generic giant robot setting, and it's called Mecha. Mobile Suit Gundam, whatever. But they did publish their own campaign setting, and it was called Spirit Warrior Empire. And Spirit Warrior Empire's background was essentially, what if Aztecs in space with mecha? And they sold these incredibly detailed plastic kits. They were like 1/285 plastic kits, so they were pretty chunky. And I wish I had can I reach something without breaking something? I can't. So they were about this high, about that wide. And they were plastic kits. They weren't metal miniatures. And they looked rather a lot like kind of a mashup of Gundam and Macross. Well, the interesting it was one of the most interesting and innovative things I've ever seen. Is the minis came, there weren't that many parts in the kits. There were not that many parts. But the minis came in a long plastic envelope. And the reason they came in a long plastic envelope was they came with a stand, and I can't remember if it was a plastic or a wooden dowel that had basically, you would clip the mini on and you would move it up the dowel. Basically, it was a battle pole, I think they called it. So depending on where you were in 3D space, you could have it represented. So a tabletop full of these minis would, by photos that I saw, look rather cool because you'd have minis at different altitudes. And it was probably very clunky and not workable. Now, I actually way many years ago, I was working with Don McVitie. He had a tabletop games review site called Nordalia, excuse me, Quetzalcoatl in Space, exactly, Clark. And I wrote reviews for it, and I always wanted to look at Spirit Warrior Empire and Mecha. And I did some Googling, and there is not very much info out there about Mecha or Spirit Warrior Empire. So I looked high and low, and I finally found the main webpage, and I reached out to the guy, and I asked him, I said, I would love to, if this is still sold and developed, I would love to review it. I asked him for a review copy and some miniatures. And so he got back to me, nice enough fellow, and said he didn't have any minis left. But would I be interested in purchasing it? It meaning the entire intellectual property. Like lock, stock, and barrel. Did I want to own the tabletop game Mecha, as in it would become mine? I don't know what he was asking. I didn't really have any need for it, and it was almost certainly out of my budget. But I have to say that is one of the most unusual responses I've ever gotten. You want to buy my game? Well, I suppose just buy your game. No, like the whole game, everything. But I passed on it. I went back to my editor and I was like, what do you think? It's like, it's not so much, not just for a review, and that there were no more miniatures just didn't, But I always thought it was fascinating, and reading a little bit of the background that I did, they were very much Aztecs. I don't just mean like, well, they're modern, they're mech warriors. They feel they're Olmec and Aztec and Central American myth. No, straight up, you ejected, you got captured, they're dragging you up the sun god pyramid, and that's coming out. They were very Aztec. They were very much. But as we occasionally do talk about out of print things here, guys, if a copy falls into my lap and not the entire intellectual property that this guy invented, maybe we'll talk about it one day. Maybe we'll talk about it. But anyhow, that's probably where I'm going to wrap up, because the dinner that my daughter cooked is wafting, the scent of it is wafting through the house, and it's driving me bonkers. It smells absolutely delicious. So before we ask the question of, have you seen my owl bear? You guys should definitely ask me anything you want to now. Otherwise we're going to go ahead and wrap up, and I'll give you a minute if you have any serious questions. And I will answer them. Oh, has someone pinged me? I do have a question. This actually just came in real quick. Yes, Dungeon Delver does need food badly. Just real quick. If you cannot make it to the guac, please go and unregister yourself at Warhorn. Or if you're still going to go, but you've decided not to be in a game or you can't make in a game, I don't know yet, Kennick. I'll talk about it later this week. Please unregister from those games and open up seats for people who might want to be in if you can't make it. So, that said, everyone, I do love you all. I mean that. I care about every one of you. You're my fans. You help out greatly. Tomorrow night, we're going to be back with some Preamble Ramble and some first edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons at 9 o'clock. We're going to play AD&D, and it's Keep on the Borderlands. And the party is currently, mission critical. But we'll see. Wednesday night, it's Kyle's birthday. So, gentlemen, start your PayPal accounts. Thursday night, Zach Glazar and some of the boys and girls from Frog God Games will be here, and I'm looking forward to that. Friday night, we'll just do whatever we want, and then we're going back to Disneyland, or Disney World, rather, and play some Gamma World. But until then, everyone, hang on to your cash with both hands and ask yourselves the ever important question, of course, have you seen my owl bear?
Have you seen my owl bear? Here's to all the weirdos everywhere in the woods and in the air. Have you seen my owl bear? Should I shave off all my hair? Bobs are all around. Some live in tunnels underground. Some are fat, some are rich, some are sleeping in a ditch. Can you ride a crooked horse without a saddle way off course? Naked as a toad all the way to Smoky Joe's. Have you seen the little creep driving fast in his little green Jeep? He smells like fish and brandy, but his rotten teeth look dandy. Take me to the show, I don't care if fast or slow. From action flicks to dancing dicks, just take me to the show.